Hello and welcome to the 168th installment of the Synapse Misfire podcast. I'm your host, Chris, joined by our other host, Jordan.
That's me, baby.
Jordan, it appears today we've traded a piece of equipment for another. There was some sort of Full Metal Alchemist equivalent exchange that happened.
Yeah, I'm holding my microphone like I'm some feeble guest like Alex, who can't even be entitled to a mic arm. Granted, it's my entire own fault, but...
Oh, no, it's 100% your fault, which is rare, that failing isn't my fault.
Yeah.
Or both of our faults.
In short, borrowed the mic for something unpodcast related, left the mic arm.
Yep.
Didn't lose it. I know where it is.
We have another mic arm, but we don't have a dingus to put it to the desk.
Which is why I borrowed the mic. Yeah, because I had a dingus, and guess what I left there? The dingus.
The only part we needed, actually.
Yeah, in fact. So now I'm holding the mic. But Chris, we're looking crisp though.
We are looking reaction pending, I think.
Reaction pending, yeah.
Because we have a new camera.
And not just like, oh, it's a camera. A very pricey camera.
I took it, I took it personally, right?
He was like, nah.
I went out and I did the research.
Little R&D.
Little research, not a lot of development.
No D?
Just no D. No
all
D
R.
for me, please.
No, yeah, all R.
Little research, and I was looking at cameras. Like, I want to buy one of these fucking things. And I narrowed it down to two options that met my criteria of being A, reasonably priced, B, DSLR, and C, 4K and all the nonsense.
And also, don't forget, I don't know if you were on D. I forgot what letter you're on, but don't forget the big one. It needs to record more than 15 minutes before shutting off.
That too.
That was like the most major thing.
So that actually eliminated and helped me choose this camera. So the option I was originally going to go for was the Canon R50, I think it's called. It's their basically like entry-level camera for like the R lens format, which is their new one. So if I wanted to use any of their old lenses, I would have to get an adapter. Yeah. Which is like another $50, by the way,
adds cost,
on top of your lenses, which are a lot of money. And then I was looking, I was like, I like this, but then I find out it can only record an hour before it stops. Not like it overheats or anything. It just shuts off. It just stops recording.
Because it wants to.
So I'm looking at, what's comparable? And I see Sony ZV-E10.
Yeah.
And it has, I'm not kidding you, pound for pound, the same exact specs. Like, I think the sensor that's used in this is the same as the one in the Canon.
Yeah.
I think it's the same sensor. The kit lens is better, but that's about like the only differences. The biggest difference, which helped me choose, is that this can record unlimited. There's no time limit.
Yeah.
I think there might be some arbitrary limit of like 15 hours or something. But at that point, we're running out of space on the card before we run out of space on the camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Or run out of recording time on the camera. So I bought it. I bought it. It was for the camera and the kit lens. It was $799. Plus, I had $77 in my Amazon gift card balance. So it was only $779 because of taxes. But I'm very satisfied.
Yeah, I love the logic that befell this camera purchase, which was like, Chris last episode was like, man, my phone, like we talk about phones for a while. Chris like, I could really use a new phone, right? The thing that like goes on social media and like has a multitude of purposes, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm not kosher with spending like $700-800 for that. And then like 4 days later, just goes, all right, so I decided my phone has a little bit of kick to it. I bought a camera. I'm like, okay.
Well, that's the thing is I had to get over that because I priced out the phone. I priced out a new phone.
And what do you really get?
Yeah, like I priced out a brand new S24, whatever the new one is coming out. Just the standard one. With the trade-in, and I added some new Galaxy Buds because mine are getting kind of ripe.
Rank.
Because, listen, I sweat a lot, and I take them to the gym. and I have the memory foam ear tips, so that soaks up all my fluids.
Ugh.
So I clean them out, obviously, but it's still like I just can't get the funk out of them.
Yeah.
So, I was gonna buy that, and it worked out to be like, $750 or something with the trade in and all that. And I was like, I slept on it. I was like, I'm gonna think about it, and I slept on it, and I woke up next morning, and I was like, and I looked at the cart, and I was like, I did that a little bit. I kind of meandered a little while.
A couple of and
And then I thought about the comment I made literally the day before about, what if I just got a camera instead? And I was thinking about it. I was like, it's worth looking into.
All right.
So I started looking, and here we are.
Yeah. No, I think it makes more sense. Like it wouldn't make sense if you busted out like a $1,400 camera, but like it's in the same price point as the phone was, and
Yeah.
for what you want it for, it's gonna do better. So.
And it looks good. The 1080p, the footage I've filmed on it, it's okay. The 4K footage is like really where it's at. It looks very good.
Yeah, which we're in 1080 currently. This will be exported at 1080 anyway as well. But when we do probably IRL stuff, it'll probably be more like 4K, I'm thinking.
Oh, definitely.
So once we're out and about.
Anything that's not going to be over an hour long will be 4K.
Yeah, so.
Because I recorded an hour of 4K footage on this as a test, which it did phenomenally, by the way. Mm-hmm. But an hour, I think it worked out to be like an hour and 25 minutes or an hour and a half of 4K footage was like 100 gigs.
Jesus Christ. That's crazy.
Good luck. But
Chris,
Jordan,
I got to do the platforms.
Yeah, where do we put this thing now that we're in a fancy new format?
Yeah, now that we're in a fancy new format, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, Podcast, and the RSS feed, which is all linked below. It's also YouTube, which has a video platform. Spotify, you can view the video on as well, so you can see us in all our new glory holes, perhaps. And, as always, you can contact us via email, synapsemisfire@pm.me. Send us your comments, your questions, concerns, and death threats. And then, most importantly, Little Kitty, Big City News. And we also have Instagram and TikTok. So
he's this kid in his holes that he's got. Keeps talking about.
This is the guy talking about his rank earbud juices.
Touche.
So, Chris, we have a bit of a segment planned. Do you want to intro what you're gonna do in theory? Not really spoiling it, but like, what is the segment for this week?
Yes. So we'll do a little agenda. All right. We're doing our intro, obviously.
Yeah.
Our normal segment. We do one every episode. Sometimes it is the episode.
Yeah.
Right. Then we're gonna talk about some gaming, perhaps.
Perchance.
And then, very specially crafted in my devious little lab, I'm going to talk about the TV show Mountain Monsters for a little while. Yeah. And I've talked about it before, but this time I need to talk about it again. And I've written up a little segment, so I have no idea how long it's going to be. So it might be a long one.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. So that's coming. But Chris, do you want to kick it off?
Sure.
What you been up to?
Sure.
If you say a whole lot of nothing, I'm walking out of the door.
I've been playing a lot of video games, or video game, I should say.
Singular.
And I've been dicking around with the camera a lot. I've been doing a lot of testing with that, and other than that, I haven't been doing anything.
Chris, all I can say is if I take this SD card from the camera or however I get the footage and I plug it into my computer and I just start scrolling through footage and there's just ass shots of you in there testing this camera, quote unquote testing this camera. Yes. I'm gonna be real upset. First, I'm gonna back them up to my hard drive and then I'm gonna be real upset.
There's an hour and a half of 4K footage of me just throwing cheeks.
It's like the fucking Thanos video where he's like twerking and shit. It's literally that. Oh my god! But all right, so a whole lot of nothing for you, as per typical.
Yeah, I haven't done anything. Really.
What game you been playing?
I've been playing Sons of the Forest a lot.
Sons of the Forest. That's the one where you're with your son and you're like in the forest.
No, that's the first one.
Oh, so this is the one where you're like with your son and you're like in the forest.
No, this is the one where you're with your boys and you're in the forest.
And the deaf guy, right? The deaf guy's there.
Yeah.
So how's that going?
I have a lot to speak on about it, and the first game as well.
First game I played a decent amount of, and in VR.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
It's very fun. So I've been playing that. I do have to talk about something important in reference to my in reference to my segment, and it's I have to announce an official beef with New York Times best-selling author Jason K. Pargin. I have beef with you.
Okay. Who is this guy? Give me a little backstory.
He writes sci-fi novels.
Sci-fi. Okay.
Right. And about 2 years ago, or maybe even longer ago, I had an idea that I never told anyone about. So I can't prove that I had this idea, but I had this idea.
I'll take you at your word, yeah.
Of doing a podcast that would go over the show Mountain Monsters, which, we would go through an episode, and then it was going to be in the style where I would watch it, and then I would write about it, and then kind of read what I wrote to, like, Jordan, who would come in blind.
I think we did talk about that in high school a little. Like,
did we?
And a very low-end concept of, like, we should do funny, like, Mountain Monsters skit view thing. But it wasn't, like, a full-fledged idea when we talked about it. So you probably sat and stewed with this.
So, like, I thought about it, and then I forgot about it, and I never did anything with it. And then I was on Spotify the other day, and I see a podcast, like, in my recommended. This podcast called Big Feats. And I'm like, what is this about? I want to hear about some cryptid lore, right? I want to hear about, because I need some not depressing podcasts in my rotation.
Right.
So I'm like, let's learn about Bigfoot, and I'm reading the description, and it's two comedy writers that I've never really heard of, but that's beside the point, who teamed up with this particular author to talk about Mountain Monsters. It's a Mountain Monsters watch-along podcast. And at first, I was a little miffed, I'll be honest. More than I have any right to be, which is not at all.
That's true.
And I was like, I'll watch it.
Of course.
I'll listen to it. So I listened to it. There's like 13 episodes or 14 episodes or something now. So I've been watching along with the podcast. And they cover it way better than I could have, unfortunately. The three guys who do it, they cover like the improv aspects of it, because it's very clearly like just an improv show.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's good. I recommend it.
The two talented comedians and best-selling author did better than Chris. Wow. That's really surprising. You're a powerful man.
Yeah, an actual award-winning author is better than me.
Yeah, I kind of find that hard to believe, but I'll take your word for it.
I mean, I am a bit of a writer.
I mean, has he seen the Synapse Misfire podcast? Like, I would say that it could be better.
Listen, this is me announcing my public beef. This is me announcing my public beef. We should send him this clip. We'll put it in a TikTok and we'll send it to him.
This is gonna be the one time we get something to the email. It's gonna be a fucking DMCA takedown. He's like, I will kill you. Like, okay, we should take that down immediately.
If you find our email, Mr. Pargin, if you find our email, please send us copies of your books. I've heard they're very good, but I don't read very often.
Yeah. So he writes sci-fi novels. Anything like notable that you would just know as general public, or is it kind of niche, like best-selling in the book world?
I think it's more like for the sci-fi fans, but I've heard they're all very good.
Yeah.
So
I'll have to. We'll have to look into his books maybe.
So
maybe that'll be the next thing. You can buy his books, read them, and then just stare at the camera and be like, I want to be mad, but these are really good.
I want to be mad. This is such a good book, though.
You should read it. But not if you pay for it. Bastard. Yeah. Yeah, no, that tracks. So okay. So, all right. He has a little beef there. So, a rivalry.
A little rivalry with this man who has no idea who I am or if I exist.
And will never care about us.
And will never care.
Yeah.
I bet if we send him this clip on TikTok, though, he'll make a video about it.
He'll make a funny out of it, you think?
Maybe.
We'll see.
The cat is going crazy.
Cat is going crazy up there, dude. It's like Chunk is like fighting off the demons.
He's been a little bitch lately. I don't know what his problem is.
Why is that?
I don't know. He just won't shut up.
Yeah. He wants to get in on the podcast, bro. He wants to be the third guest.
He can be... He can't be a third guest because he's going to eat everything that's in here.
Oh, the camera cut out. I wonder what happened. He's just chewing on it.
He's munching on the lens, crunching the glass between his teeth.
Probably.
Jordan, what do you do? What have you been doing? Because I think I've been throwing this into an array of disorder.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Something's going on in my brain, Chris. It's rewiring itself.
Oh, is that so?
It was like a sleeper agent trigger. So let me bring you back.
Like MK Ultra.
Pretty much. Let me bring you back, right? I'm gonna tell you a story, a little bit of a story, right? Go back like a week and a half, right? Rough timeline. I'm sitting at home. A coworker of mine, not who works immediately with me, but used to work with me, reaches out to me. He's like, "Hey," and he's a man of a few words, by the way. He goes, "Hey, do you have a PS2?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay. I'm getting rid of all my old games. Are you interested?" I was like, "Yeah, why not?" Like thinking to myself, like, I'm not really gonna buy a bunch of old PS2 games, but like I'll take a look. I was thinking like if I see things like, oh, I played this as a kid, like why not? I'll buy it, whatever.
Right.
Like some maybe Bully's there, you know, the OGs, like original PS2 Bully. I'm like, yeah,
I need 800 more copies of Bully.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll take a look. So fast forward to the weekend. Told him I'd meet him at his house and be there, and we go to a baby shower first for Letsy's sister. Come back from the baby shower, and Letsy tears a ligament in her knee. So
what is going on with you and you lately? You and your woman lately.
So we fucking ice, elevate, relax. I'm like, hey man, yeah, I can't come by. Like some shit went down.
You explode your wrist.
Yeah, I explode my wrist. She explodes her kneecap.
I want to know what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, I know. It comes in threes, right? So, then the next day, I'm like, yeah, I'll try and come by. But the next day, she's like, she's not really in pain. That's the weird thing. She just like, to her words, it feels like her bone is shifting. So like, all right, we got to get that checked out. So we go and spend 4.5 hours in urgent care.
Right.
Get nothing done. They give her some steroids. They're like, yeah, it just seems like it's torn, like whatever. Like, wear a brace. So she's doing a lot better now, but she's still with the brace, kind of taking it easy. Point kind of being, I text him, I'm like, yeah, dude, like, hey, if you got to sell them, like, sell them. Like, don't wait for me. I know you're moving. And he's like, all right, I was just going to give you all of them. And I'm like, oh, okay. How much do you want for the lot? Like, whatever. I'll just buy it all, throw it out, what I don't want. And he's like, no, like, you misunderstand. Like, I'm giving them to you. I don't want money. Like, take them. And I'm like,
if it's free, it's for me.
I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, I'm not going to say no to that. So he has a Dreamcast that I'm getting, apparently, which is pretty cool. Never owned one, but, you know, a little retro console thing. So he brings me on Monday the first batch. I'm getting the next batch Monday coming up. But he brought me a stack of 28 PS2 games.
Jesus.
And that's only some of them. And they are some banger games, dude. And he, like me, is a bit of a, like, I don't want to say collector, but kind of just, like, appreciates his stuff, you know?
Right.
So the cases, you know, some of them have some, you know, wear. But the actual box art and the manuals, they're all in really good condition.
All the stuff that's, like, yeah, would get fucked up over the years.
Yeah, and, like, the CDs are a little scuffed, but it doesn't matter. You can resurface those. Like, everything's in pretty damn good shape. Like, if I just bought a bunch of generic black PS2 cases, like, I could make these look like almost new. Like, they're very good condition. So I got some sick fucking games from him. So I'm like, this is sick. And he gave me 2 controllers, which were in obviously much worse condition, but those are, in fact, wear items, so made sense.
True.
So, yeah, I have a bunch of PS2 games. Apparently I'm getting more, and a Dreamcast, and some other old shit. I'm like, man, this is exciting. But,
that's
like,
the hookup.
But, like, it triggered, like, a synapse in my brain, dude, where I am now currently on the hunt for a PlayStation Vita and a PlayStation Portable. And I have found so many of them, and I may go buy one. But I don't know yet, because I'm also tempted, because last year I went through the same kick around this time, because at Pat's, they sell retro consoles that are, like, refurbished, and I saw one there, and it triggered me. And we're getting ready to go back to Pat's, so I'm like, I could also get one there. But I found some, like, pretty good ones online. So I don't know, man. I'm feeling the itches, dude. I'm feeling the itches. I need a PS Vita, like, real bad.
Were there even, like, wasn't there, like, 6 games released for the PS Vita?
So surprisingly, there was actually a lot of games released for the Vita. Like,
really?
Like, upwards of, like, 1,000 games.
Really?
Aside from that, though, here's the big thing about the Vita that people don't realize. You can just fucking jailbreak it and immediately unlock every Vita game without having to buy them, and unlock every PSP game, and they just work. So you get all in one. I mostly just want a PSP for the fact that it's an actual PSP.
And of course, Jordan, you would never do that. That's definitely not
No.
Like, you wouldn't steal digital content ever.
No. My goal is to go and buy the games, but like
Yeah, like you gotta go out and
can.
you gotta purchase them. But like you could do that, and it's not very difficult.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, theoretically, hypothetically, like if you wanted to.
Yeah, hypothetically, like if you ever wanted
It's
to.
not a good. It's illegal.
Yeah. No, I
But
wouldn't. I wouldn't do
don't
it.
do
You see me. I'm a corporate show. I respect the corpos, right? I would pay them. All my money.
I actually, for every dollar I spend on video games and other products, I send $2 more to that company.
Yeah, like cash, hard cash.
Yeah, like when I bought this camera, I sent $5,000 to Sony.
Of course, because you want to support Sony on their endeavors, because they need it. They need all the support.
They need all the, think of the companies.
Think of the companies, yeah, the poor companies, yeah. But yeah, so I'm on a retro kick like crazy right now, Chris. I'm hunting for a ton of retro shit, and I don't know what's going on. Like I don't know what's going on. I'm like going back in time, and I feel like this kind of happened a couple years ago. I remember getting like bullied at work for this because I started buying like the PS3 and the PS2, and I played Red Dead 1 again, and like I went backwards a little, but now I'm going even farther back into the depths, dude. Like I even found a PS1 that I was like, like,
You were experiencing the same thing that I did in 2020.
Oh yeah.
So like except with computers, I didn't do any consoles or anything, but like, why do you think I have all this bullshit in my house?
That's true.
It's because in 2020, I did the math one time. I think I spent over $5,000 on eBay over the course of 2020. Between
Makes
like
sense.
March and August of 2020, I spent like $5,000 on
Makes
eBay.
sense.
And it was all just shit.
Yeah.
And granted, to be fair, the only one of these purchases I still use is this machine right here, the T440p.
Yep.
I still use that, but it's been demoted several ranks. Granted, this did get me through my senior year of college.
Yeah,
I did
paid
my
itself
entire senior year of college on this because I was going to do it on my Surface Pro that I spent $1,000 on. But it turns out it sucks dick at everything it tries to do. So
Yeah. Not in fact pro at all.
so I just used this, which is 10 years older, and did the tasks way better. So
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah. So I'm on a big retro kick. I really want a PSP, really want a PS Vita, just to have to, because like here's the thing. As a kid, I didn't understand like the collector mindset.
Yeah.
And I never really abused my stuff. Like I always had good respect for my controllers and stuff. Like I've always had that side of me, but the side I didn't have is I went very often to GameStop and just traded shit in. Didn't matter what it was. Like I have no interest in the Vita right now. Get rid of it. Where in hindsight, like for example, my Steam Deck, when I'm done with that, I'm not selling it. That's gonna go packed away and kind of be like, hey, look, I have the OG version, original launch model of the Steam Deck that revolutionized, hopefully, the handheld market.
Right.
Like it's gonna be a kind of a thing I look back on, like a memento, because like the monetary value isn't particularly that great as much as like the sentimental value, for a lot of things. So like for me, like yeah, I could sell the Steam Deck when the new one comes out for like $200, but like unless I'm down bad at that point, like what is the $200 really gonna get me? Like I have a job, $200 isn't gonna revolutionize my life,
True.
So like I like to hold on to stuff like that. So for that, I'm like, man, I should probably get in while the getting's good with like people selling Vitas and selling PSPs, and like you can still get batteries and shit for them like real easy and real cheap, like $30 for a fucking whole ass battery, and you're good. Like I don't know. It's just the market's ripe right now for that. There's so many of them out there. As
things get like older consoles, especially like handhelds, as they get older, like a lot of aftermarket stuff shows up for them. Like
yeah.
I know Game Boys, you can get like, oh, no pun intended, you can get real advanced with them.
Yeah, you can do whole screen swaps.
Yeah, I know. One of the guys I used to work with, he's the one who put me onto ThinkPads, and so the only like positive interaction I ever had with him was talking about ThinkPads, and he told me about some of his other projects, and he had a Game Boy Advance, that he took out he had to fix a speaker or something on it, and he took it apart, and then he installed you can install like a lithium ion battery instead of AA's, and you can put in just a backlit LCD.
Yeah, that's what Bud Light Boy has,
and it's like startling how good it looks, actually.
Oh yeah, full color. It's beautiful. by comparison.
It's very impressive.
Yeah.
So I imagine shit like that for like the PSP and DS and things like that do exist.
Yeah, and one of the big things a lot of people don't realize about the Vita, specifically the original run, I think they got rid of it in like the 3rd series version of it, but that thing was OLED. That was like the first handheld OLED screen. Yes.
Holy shit.
It was an OLED screen, which is why it was so expensive.
That's crazy.
And that's why they dropped the price and switched to LCD.
That's crazy.
It's a magnificent OLED screen. Logically speaking, resolution and like size aside, the Vita has a better screen than the Steam Deck, the original Steam Deck. Like, it has a higher quality screen.
What the hell made them decide to do an OLED screen?
It was just Sony flexing their dick, and they probably thought people were fine with spending $500 on a little fucking handheld, and they weren't.
Why would they take a risk on that of all products?
Yeah, exactly. That's like what killed it. Essentially, is the price point.
Because like I don't remember anyone clamoring for a PS Vita when
No.
it came out. I knew a lot of people who had PSPs.
Well, that's the thing. Is the PSP did it right. You know, like it was at the right price point. It offered enough. The Vita wasn't particularly well marketed.
Because I think the
super expensive.
handheld shouldn't. I mean, I feel like handhelds shouldn't cost as much as consoles to begin with.
It kind of depends on their capabilities, in my opinion. Like if we're talking, say they come out now with a PSP 2, and it's basically the power of like a PS5, but say everything's locked to 30 instead of 60.
Right.
I don't think there's any logic in that being significantly cheaper, right? If it's a handheld, or just because it's a handheld, if it natively is playing those games. But something like the PlayStation Portal, that rubs me the wrong way. Because that's a streaming device that's $300 that just has a controller with a screen in the middle. And it's a nice screen. My phone's a nice fucking screen.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's where I get upset. Like, that shouldn't be nearly the price of a console. But if you're telling me, like, a console quality device, like, yeah, I could see that being $500. Or $450, whatever.
If it's console quality, I suppose, like something like that's like a crossover, like a Switch. Mm-hmm. I think has the right to be the price of a full console, a full Nintendo console.
Yeah, like close to like $400 or something.
Which Nintendo consoles are usually cheaper anyway.
Yeah.
And I think it has more business being more expensive, or something like the Steam Deck, which is a bit more
utilitarian.
Yeah, it's a bit more of a computer rather than a handheld console.
Yeah.
I think it's it makes sense to have that be a little more money, but something like I'm thinking in the realm of like a DS.
Yeah, no, that has
like
no
a
business.
DS. If I'm not mistaken, the original DS Lite was like $100.
Something like that, probably. I mean, you can fact check it, but
I would have to look it up because the only reference I have for this was getting one at Toys R Us for my 6th birthday.
Yeah.
And then I bought the DSi XL.
Ooh.
Was $180. I remember that because I bought it with my own money.
Damn.
I'm bit of a baller.
Baller at 6, yeah.
Baller, and this was at 8 actually.
Oh,
The
okay.
DSi XL.
True.
was at 8.
True. Yeah. That's right. Would have been.
And then I got that, and like within a couple of weeks, they announced the 3DS. If I'm not mistaken.
Chris instantly punched himself in the face.
Instantly, I fucking jumped out a window, but unfortunately, it was a ground story window, so nothing happened.
He wasn't very smart either at 8.
No, and I'm not smart now at 22. So.
But yeah, dude, I'm on a retro kick. I'll leave it at that. Like I will have a Vita in hand shortly. I may or may not be going to a retro game store in our area tomorrow just to see the prices. If it compares to anything remote to like what I can get on Facebook, I'll probably just buy it there.
Yeah.
But if it's like a lot more, because you can get them on Facebook reasonably for $150.
I'm of that same mindset. If I can just buy something at like a secondhand store, just walk in and buy it rather than, hey, is this still available?
Do you want to meet?
Oh,
you're actually an asshole? Okay.
Yeah, dude, the amount of fucking dickheads I've dealt with on Facebook Marketplace is crazy.
Yeah. So I'm hoping I'm going to go to that store and just see. And like, if it's like, hey, it's, in good condition, comes with a case, like I would be willing to spend like up to $200 on it. But like more than that, I can't justify it anymore. Because it's not like I'm a wealthy hobbyist enthusiast who's just like, I'm collecting. Like, I'm just trying to fill a niche part of my brain.
Those people do exist, and they have more money than me.
Yeah, like I looked at, DK Oldies, how they got...
Oh, have like... They're a scam, if I remember, right?
There's a lot of give and take with their stuff, but they do have Vitas, and they're like $220 with a charger and like a case and stuff, and I was like, I found some on Facebook for like $150, and it comes with the games, and like, it has a scuff, but like, whatever.
So I remember hearing about how they would sell like a Wii, like a refurbished Wii for like $400.
Well, yeah, some of their stuff. So it depends. They have packages like kits, and the problem that people I think didn't realize at the time, and maybe don't now, is like when you buy the N64 kit, you're getting certain games with it, and those games all have varying rarity. Like, I'm not even shitting you. When I looked at Vita games yesterday on their website, they have some games, or sorry, PS2 games. They have some games on there for $6.99, just basic PS2 games. There's a SpongeBob game on there that's $70 they're charging for it because it's super rare. But, like, that's kind of how they price their stuff. If it's rare, it's going to be expensive. It's not really much different than any other second-hand thing other than that they're a business, I guess, a small business. So I don't know. I'm mixed on them.
Fair.
I'm mixed. I saw a lot more of their issues with, like, their quote-unquote refurbishment not really being a refurbishment, but, like...
Yeah. I just heard bad things about them.
Yeah, I don't know. Like...
What are you going to do?
I don't have any stake in there. I've never purchased from them. Probably won't unless, like, there's a sale or something. I don't know.
If they got a deal or something.
Yeah, but anyway, what do you got, Chris? Anything else, or should we kind of ran on? Should we hop into your segment?
I'm gonna hop into gaming, but before we transition over to that, I get something to wet my whistle. So, I've been playing Sons of the Forest. Mm-hmm. I played and completed the original one a long time ago.
Yeah, me too.
But I rewatched as I'd been playing. I've been rewatching a playthrough of the first one. And what I will say about both of the games is the difficulty is weird.
How so?
So it doesn't ramp right. Not in a sense that it's too difficult. It's going from being in danger to being the danger takes like 2 days.
Really?
Like, I went from running for my life through this forest to being set up on a beach with a cabin and a fence out front with heads on the stakes within like a couple hours.
Yeah.
You become, if you want to, you can become a fucking monster in that game.
You become the invasive species.
You become an absolute demon.
Yeah.
The difficulty, the dynamic is definitely swapped when you're in the caves, I will say. I got lost in a cave for 2 hours.
Jesus Christ. 2 real-life hours?
2 actual real hours. It was like 2 in-game days.
God damn.
I was in this fucking cave just running in circles because I suck at directions. But I found a ton of good stuff in there.
I know that, trust me.
Listen.
Every time this guy fucking drives, he always gets mad at the navigator, but it's like, what's the common here, you son of a bitch?
Oh, well, the problem's obviously me, but I can't admit that. I'm a man. I can't admit that.
Okay, I admit my faults or show feelings.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
Every time I cry, I smash my nuts in a vice to tell me not to cry.
In a vice? But you have the option, if you want to play the game how I play, you have the option to be an absolute demon. I kid you not, the cannibals don't even come by my house anymore.
They're like, fuck that guy.
We got to avoid this. Or I'm killing enough of them that the population has significantly gone down. Because now, I started... My first save wasn't good, by the way, because I didn't make a house in time. And I didn't make a house in time, so I got killed, and then I was like, I'll just restart, because I didn't have a great start anyway. Yeah. So I restarted, and I started from a fresh save, and I spawned in a different place, because the spawn location's not random, but there's a few different places you can spawn. And it was a pretty good spawn, so... But now, I went from, exploring out, I would find a camp. Oh, shit, a cannibal camp. No one's here. Mm-hmm. And I would run through it, start taking things, and then a couple of dudes with like sickles and a dude with a outboard boat motor ran at me, and the guy with the motor punched me with the motor.
He fucking checked you.
And I had to run away, and at first they don't really give chase. They just want you out of their space.
They try to scare you off, man.
Yeah, so that was kind of how it was for a while. And then I just decided, I'm tired of being afraid, I think.
I'm not afraid.
I'm tired of being afraid. So now when they come by, if they come by my house or I find them, I kill them immediately, dismember them, and I use their body parts to make things. I have a chair made of bones.
It happens.
I have a fence with human heads on it. and I have a bunch of other fences and sticks with arms. I have like one with 2 arms like this at angles with heads on each of the hands.
What the fuck?
Because you can just
Like straight up effigies at this point.
because you can't do the effigies in the same way you did in the first game.
No?
Like you have to like kind of just put them on sticks. And sometimes the cannibals will show up overnight and put their own effigy there.
Like, fuck you, bitch.
But if I find them, I am 100% destroying like real religious artifacts that they have, because I find these effigies that they make and I destroy all of them.
Jesus
And
Christ.
I use the bones to make more chairs and chandeliers.
Chandeliers.
So
my God.
there's another one of the mutants that shows up who is friendly that I didn't exactly know until I looked it up that that's a friendly entity.
And you attacked them?
So this little mutant woman, she kept running away. She was scared.
Like
and
they did in the first game.
And I went, you know what? You have right to be scared. So I finally caught up to her, and I littered her with arrows. Like 20 arrows.
Made that bitch a porcupine.
And then I looked it up. I was looking through the wiki later on, and it's like, oh, this is a friendly entity. You just have to let her get to know you. I was like, ooh.
Oh, she knows me real well.
Yeah, she knows because I fed her to the fish.
Yeah.
And I was pissed because I couldn't dismember her.
No?
No, there's certain ones you can't dismember, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. They should just call it Dismemberment Simulator.
But I do a lot of dismembering, and that's what brings me to the point that I have with the first one, is at the end of that game, spoilers, but the game came out like 10 fucking years ago.
Yeah, fuck it.
I think the game came out in 2015 or something, so.
That's crazy.
Spoilers, but here we go. At the end of the first game, you kind of move through the caves to find the facility that has a kind of eldritch artifact that made your plane crash in the first place.
Right.
And the whole point is it's an artifact that can revive people, but you need to put, a child in the machine to revive a new child, and they don't come back right. They come back all mutated.
Right.
So that's the ending of the game, but this facility is like very nice and clean. It's a very like modern facility.
Right.
And the juxtaposition between I watched a playthrough with a bunch of people playing at once, like multiplayer. The juxtaposition between a band of menaces with crude like bows made of sticks and armor made of the mutants that are out of the mutants' skin and bones, juxtaposed with this beautiful modern building, kind of just shows how much of a monster you are in that game.
Yeah.
You are objectively horrible.
You are the evil entity at that point.
Yeah, especially if you play the game like I do, and do a lot of cannibalism.
Yeah.
I become the main cannibal on that island.
Yeah, King Cannibal.
And they've started to check me recently, because they've started to send out big guys. Like they got not mutants, but they got these fat fucks, these Patrick Star looking ass guys.
Extra food as far as I'm concerned.
Who will just slam their bodies at you. And if they catch you, they can stun lock you pretty easily.
Oh, really?
Same with the elites. I think they're called elites or brutes or something. That they just kick you in the chest. And they'll approach you every time they kick you. So they can stun lock you super easily. Which is fucking ridiculous. But so they've stepped up their game a little bit. But, I'm still a demon. If anything goes wrong, I can hit them with a taser. And then they fall on the ground, and I can just
Dismember 'em.
go to town with a spear or an axe or something. And if that fails, I have a gun.
Yeah.
So I don't have a lot of bullets, but I have a gun.
Last resort.
Last resort, I can shoot him in the head.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's Sons of the Force. I recommend it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun game.
I just want to touch on, before we switch over to your segment, Road 96. You ever played that game?
I have not.
So, just to keep it brief, it's basically a game where you're in a tyrannical country. You're trying to flee the country as a teenager. I guess there's something going on I haven't quite figured out yet with, like, the teenagers being, killed or, like, sent to war or something. Something to involve the government using the teens for bad purposes. So, you're trying to escape. And it's RNG, right? It's randomly generated events and encounters. I think it's technically like a series of events, but they play out in different orders and stuff. And it takes place between like the start of summer, and election day, right? So you go through, you start as a randomized teen. You start out and you're just somewhere, say 2,000 miles from the border. And your goal is you get like little mini games, so to speak, where it's like chapters where you might show up at like a rave and you're kind of blending in at the rave and trying to earn money.
Is it kind of like an Oregon Trail thing?
I believe so. I've never actually played Oregon Trail, but I believe it is.
Or the hit game Oregon Trail.
The zombie one?
The zombie one.
I might actually...
I've played a few times.
I kind of want to get that game so bad, but...
It's fun.
Is it? Yeah. I think it's a similar idea, though.
It's fun to do a group playthrough, that one. It's like someone plays it and everyone watches the screen and contributes. I did that a few times.
Something to think about, honestly. But yeah, I guess I think it's a similar vein where it's more like it's a first-person game. You're controlling your character, like total control or whatever, and you might like walk around this environment and like there's a scripted encounter that you have to find, but in the meantime you're like, oh look, there's money on the ground. You collect money, and the whole point is to get to the border, basically.
Right.
I finally made it to the border with my first character on the third character. My first character. I hopped in a taxi, right? And I had known ahead of time that the taxi was a serial killer, the taxi driver. But he's not, like, a serial killer for, like, you. He's more like a radical, like, political assassin serial killer.
He's like a terrorist, perhaps.
Basically, perhaps like a terrorist. And there's a scene with him, right? I'm playing as this first teen, and I'm like, all right, no big deal, driving in the taxi. He's clearly has anger issues or whatever. And
hey, who doesn't?
The car breaks down, and it lets you lean in the front seat, and it takes place in like the 80s, so he has a portable VCR, and your character's like, that's fucking cool, never seen that. And a tape falls out of the glove box, and it's labeled Lola, so you play it, and I play it, and it's a video of a woman getting crushed by rocks and dying. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? So it turns out the reason he's a radical killer is because...
fucking 17th century ass punishment there.
Well, the reason it's actually a disaster that took place where the brigades, who were like the radicals trying to overthrow the government, did a bombing and killed a bunch of civilians by accident. And his daughter was one of them, hence why he's after all these people.
Oh, I see.
So he gets back in the car, and he's like, I heard screaming. What was that? And I just said, oh, I don't know. And did you make dialogue choices? And he goes, the VCR is warm. Did you watch a tape? And I was like, honesty is the best policy. And I said, yes. And he goes, what did you watch? And I told him, I'm like, the tape labeled Lola. He turns around and shot me in the face and killed me instantly. He fucking...
You could have just been like, hey, listen, I get it, man.
He shot me in the face instantly, and I died. So
that's a crazy thing to happen in a video game, dude.
So I start my second adventure as this teen, as another teen. I make it 9 miles to the border, and I pass out of exhaustion and get arrested. Jesus. I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And then finally with the 13, I got lucky and I got one of the not minigames, but encounters where you're with a famous lady, the one that the guy's actually trying to kill, funny enough. And you get to...
You're just going to be like, listen, I got to tell you this.
So you do actually try to tell her and like warn her, and it ends up just whatever. But with her encounter, you play a game like where you put the ball under the cup and they move it around, whatever the hell that's called. And you can play it. And I just was doing dirty, bro. I just kept getting it, and she keeps betting for you. And she has way more money than you do. She's famous. She's a fucking actress or whatever. So by the end of it, I left with like $200, which in the context of your character in this game is like a lot of money. Like the shit you normally buy is like $10. So it's a lot of money for your journey. So I got the money. I went to my next encounter. I got robbed immediately by these fucking thieves. And
I imagine there's probably a factor in the game that like that event is more likely to occur the
if
more
you have a higher yeah, that's true. It literally says when it's loading, it says generating encounter. So like it's definitely
taking
it actually
things
says
into
computating encounter.
Yeah, it probably has like multipliers for different things.
Yeah. So I got robbed, and then I made a deal with the thieves. I was gonna help them, I think, figure out some date for an assassination attempt on that woman because they're obsessed with her, and they would give me my money back. So I did that, got it, made it to the border. I had learned how to hack from a guy I met on my journey, and then I hacked the door and fucking escaped, running from the cops. The game is so goddamn fun. And there's a second one that I think is a DLC, but it's actually like a separate install. It's called Road 96 Mile Zero, which I bought too when it was on sale with the first one. I fucking love the game. It's so fun.
Unfortunately, it's not Road 97.
Yeah, right.
I'll have to check it out.
You definitely should. It's a fun. It's so good, and it's another one of those games where like I think if you are like, man, I just need something to play, like, dude, Steam Deck, kick back, play the game. Like it's perfect for that.
Hang out in bed, play it.
Exactly. Like,
Might
that's
be
what I've been
cool.
doing, is just kind of sitting around playing it. It's really good for like quick pick up and play, and then suspend the Steam Deck and like come back to it. That's what it's really good for. So, because it's not like it's story heavy, but it's not like Red Dead 2 story heavy.
Yeah, it's in a sense that like how you would play like Subnautica, or ironically The Forest.
Yeah.
Is the story is more gained from like finding specific events or specific things.
And it's less of like you have to pay attention to everything. You kind of just do your thing, and like you come across these encounters and you're like, oh shit, haven't seen that before or whatever. Like, and you make decisions. So, it's good for pick up and play. But that's all I got, Chris. It's time for you to take the show, take the reins.
All right.
Wow me. If my pants aren't off
We're
by the
about
end
to
of this,
find
I'm
out what
pissed.
happens when folklore bites back.
Ooh.
That's part of the intro of the show.
Oh,
Is when folklore bites back. 6 native West Virginian sons. So let me get
Just say incest. You don't have to say West Virginia.
Maybe that's implied by just saying West Virginian. All right. Jordan, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
What if a show like Finding Bigfoot or one of those like ghost hunting shows just didn't give a fuck about being taken seriously at all?
That would probably lead to chaotic, happy disaster.
Well, I'll tell you. You'll get my new favorite show, Mountain Monsters. I've talked about the show before, not in like insane detail because I've only kind of caught clips of it over the years.
Right.
But this time I'm like sitting down and actively watching the show. The first like 8 or 9 episodes are pretty rough. They're hard to get through. There's a lot of like meandering and recap and like this could have been 20 minutes, but it's 40.
Right.
But after that, like episode 10, this show really hits its stride. It's really fucking good.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So a little bit about the show. The show stars the Ames team, which is the Appalachian Investigators of Mysterious Sightings. The term investigator is used very loosely here. They just want to fucking kill these cryptids.
Okay.
The Ames team consists of 6 West Virginian good old boys. Trapper, the fearless leader. Huckleberry, who is security, which is another term used very loosely. Jeff is the researcher who looks like Santa Claus. Buck is the rookie who is absolutely planetary in scale. Like, he's like double my size. He's also shorter than me, so
That's crazy.
It works out, Willie builds the traps, and last but certainly not least, Wild Bill. Wild Bill is listed as the expert tracker, but he doesn't track shit. Mostly he incoherently rambles about things completely unrelated to the scene, such as how much he wants to eat the cryptids. That is when he's not falling out of trees. I'm fairly certain Wild Bill has suffered a stroke at some point in his life because he very clearly has difficulty walking and slurs his words to an almost incomprehensible degree. Like, he regularly has to be subtitled.
I was going to say, is he subtitled?
And most of his lines make no fucking sense. Like,
God.
there are times where he usually helps Willie build the traps. Mm-hmm. He's like Willie's like little Igor assistant. And there's a scene in one episode where he's like laying on some logs, and Willie is like, "Come on, we got to get this fucking trap built or whatever." And he gets up and he like grabs a water bottle and he just dumps it on his head, and he's like, "I would go West Virginia chair, bro." What the hell are you talking about? What are you saying? What are you talking about? I turned on subtitles for that, like, because it's on HBO Max.
Right.
I turned on HBO Max subtitles, and even the subtitles were like something about indistinct muttering. Like, even the subtitles had no fucking idea.
They're like, good luck, bro.
Because most of the time he's like, I'm going to get some of that old sheepskin. And what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Bro,
he's a maniac.
Sir, this is a TGI Fridays.
Like, oh my God.
That's wild.
All right. The episodes are structured in the same way every time. The first segment is like an intro segment where they're in Trapper's pickup truck. And these intro segments, Wild Bill and Willie aren't featured, I assume they probably just have to work or something. Because there's very clear instances where you're like, one of the members isn't here, probably because he has a job elsewhere.
Right.
Like, I think Wild Bill talks about how he's a lineman, like, so he does, like, for the phone company.
Yeah.
Like, climbs and things. So I think that's what happens, because these are very clearly shot over the course of a weekend. So Trapper, Jeff, Buck, and Huckleberry are all in the truck. Trapper and Jeff introduce the creature. Jeff throws out some research that he's done on it, while the other three just riff for a while. Then the four talk to a person who has witnessed the creature, and they usually have pictures or some other form of evidence. Sometimes it'll be one witness, sometimes two. Sometimes the witnesses are broken up over a couple of days. The next part is their night investigation.
Ooh.
So this involves Trapper, Buck, Huckleberry, and Jeff stomping through the woods with shotguns while Jeff tries to film the monster with his thermal camera.
Jesus Christ, okay.
They always have a sighting, but unfortunately, the camera always manages to just miss it. Curious, that. After that, Willie and Wild Bill build a trap. The next morning, they report to Willie and Wild Bill, and they build another trap. And this segment of the show is genuinely the most entertaining part of the show, other than the night hunts, which is the last segment. Because the banter between Wild Bill and Willie is so fucking funny. Because Willie has no goddamn clue what Wild Bill is talking about most of the time. And frankly, neither do I. The pair fashion a trap together to hold the monster. And after that, they do the night hunt. This is when all 6 members of the Ames team try to trap or kill the monster. After that, after they fuck around in the woods for a while, the creature invariably escapes. The boys pack up and go home. Roll credits.
Doesn't sound like they're very good at trapping.
No, they are good at swinging their guns around in the forest. And another note about this: usually Wild Bill is the only person not given a gun.
Wonder why.
And it's very obvious because in the night hunts, if you pay attention, and when Wild Bill is given a gun, he is the only person who has no trigger discipline.
Yeah, he's just
His
swinging it
finger is on the trigger all the time, and he's swinging it, like pointing it at people.
That's ridiculous. That's so funny.
He should not have a gun ever.
No.
And most of the time he doesn't. Most of the time he's not given one.
That's ridiculous.
I'm going to skip some of the episodes because I want to talk about the 2 most recent ones I watched, episodes 12 and 13 of season 1, because they're my favorite episodes so far. Because these episodes are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So, episode 12 is titled The Sheep Squatch of Boone County.
Okay.
And it features the Ames boys hunting down a hybrid creature called the Sheep Squatch. And no, Jordan, it is not related to the Sasquatch.
Huh.
They addressed that in the beginning of the episode. I think Buck asked Trapper, is this a member of the Sasquatch family? And Trapper just goes, no.
So what is it then?
It's a hybrid of several different animals, like a sheep and a goat and a possum and a raccoon. Just picture a Bigfoot with horns, like sheep horns, and a possum tail. The episode starts normally. Jeff gives his spiel about the sheep squatch. They talk to an eyewitness. Not very exciting. What is exciting is the night investigation. This part's actually fucking crazy. Jeff manages to get some thermal footage of the sheep squatch bashing his horns into a tree in the distance, and then the sheep squatch pisses onto the tree, like on a branch above its head.
What the fuck?
And they catch this on thermal. They don't put it in the episode, unfortunately, but they catch it on thermal.
Okay.
The group goes over to the tree to investigate, and the sheep squatch is left at this point. Trapper is looking up in the tree with a flashlight, and a bunch of sheep squatch piss falls from the branch and gets in his eyes. And based on the reaction he has, I'm convinced that they fucking pepper sprayed this poor old man behind the scenes. He's like screaming, crying, he's punching the ground. There's like snot coming out of his nose and running down his beard. It's gross. It's disgusting. And Buck gives him a water bottle to try to like, flush out his eyes. And instead of like leaning back or laying down and pouring the water into his eyes, he grabs the water bottle like this
and sprays it,
squeezes it up into his face. And yeah, he's like, I think they like fucking pepper sprayed him or something, because they have footage of him the next day, and he clearly has like damage around his eyes.
Yeah, it's all red and raw. Yeah, they probably did pepper spray him.
Like, I know the acting capacities of these guys. They are not that good of actors.
Yeah.
Like, they can be decent, but they're not that good, you know?
He probably was like, yeah, just fucking pepper spray me.
He was like, fuck it, how bad could it be? And it turned out to be way worse than he thought. And, Jordan, would you believe it? That is not the only sheep squatch excrement-related bit in this episode.
Okay.
This is one of two. The next day, the normal crew gets together to meet another witness. This witness happens to just have a bucket of sheep squatch shit, which Trapper very happily digs through. Bare hands. He's looking through it. He's like picking through it, picking stuff out of it, sniffing it. It's weird. And in the process of this, he's also like, picking through it, and then he'll like adjust his hat or like wipe his brow or he'll like touch his face or something. And then at the end of the bit, the guy who gives him the bucket of sheep squash shit, he shakes the guy's hand after he digs through the shit.
That's fucking heinous.
It's fucking nasty.
Oh my god.
It was so fucking funny.
Oh my god. Shoot him on sight, honestly.
And while Trapper's playing with the scat, Wild Bill and Willie are supposed to be working on a trap. Wild Bill is supposed to meet Willie at an old barn to collect some materials for the trap. Wild Bill is tearing through the woods in a side-by-side, and he's completely lost. He mentions that he's following a map based on Willie's directions, and hearing that, I assumed this was a real map of the area that he just marked with the directions. No, they revealed the map that Wild Bill is following, and it is a hand-drawn map that presumably Wild Bill drew. It looks like a child drew this. There's like, I'll show you a picture of this afterwards, but there's like a little picture, a little stick figure that's labeled Willie, and there's like the stream and a bridge and some power poles or something. It's so weird. And on the side it says Boone County. So Wild Bill has a lot of banger quotes in this scene. While he's looking at the map, he's looking at specific landmarks, and one of them is supposed to be a lake, and he can't seem to find it, and he says, well, maybe they moved the lake, which he says so seriously, I have no choice but to believe Wild Bill actually considers this as a possibility.
No actor could impersonate that.
Like, it was, again, these guys aren't great actors. This was like a moment of genuine confusion. He's like, maybe they moved the lake.
Oh my god.
So Christ. Wild Bill eventually finds Willie, and they scavenge 3 full rolls of suspiciously new and clean-looking chain link fence. Like, it looks like straight from the hardware store, because it probably was. Once they have the fencing, they start building a trap, which is just a big cage with some razor wire on top. There's another great Wild Bill scene here where Wild Bill is giving a testimonial to the camera in which he says something to the effect of, razor wire is really dangerous to work with. But then they put in B-roll of Wild Bill whipping the razor wire around like a fucking maniac. Like, he's like...
What the fuck?
Trying to get it onto the fence. Once the trap is built, it's time for the night hunt. The plan is to divide the team into 2 sub-teams of 3 people and drive the sheep squatch toward the trap from opposite directions. This is the plan for every night hunt, by the way. Every single one, actually. Let's see. After some various shenanigans, the team starts chasing the sheep squatch in side-by-sides. Trapper and Huckleberry are in one of the side-by-sides, while the other 4 are in the other one. Trapper ends up driving off an extremely obvious cliff, crashing the side-by-side.
Oh my god.
And I think this wasn't in the script at all, because of how the reaction is. This is another great one. Huckleberry starts freaking the fuck out after this. Like, he is like coughing, like he's gonna throw up. Buck makes his way over to the accident and asks Huckleberry if he's okay. And to which Huckleberry responds, "Well, I swallowed my damn tobacco." So he was just chewing. He had some grizzly or something. He just swallowed it, which makes me think this is definitely not scripted, because they fucking destroyed this thing. Like the windshield on it has like a plexiglass windshield. It is shattered.
Jesus Christ.
Like, they really fucked themselves up. The conclusion the gang comes to is that Trapper and Huckleberry hit the sheep squatch with the side-by-side. This is despite the fact we saw exactly 0 sheep squatches during the crash.
And it randomly walked away.
Yeah. This is the note the episode ends on. The only other interesting thing that happens is that Buck reveals that he ripped his pants in the chaos. Or as he puts it, "I come running over that hill and bust the crotch plumb out of my britches." Holy shit.
It must be so fun to be this fucking stupid.
Dude, it's such a fucking good show. And the second episode I want to cover here is titled Wild Bill's Bear Beast. And this is a Wild Bill episode, because there's already been, at this point in the show, even this early on, there's already been like a character development episode for Willie. Like, there was one thing they hunted, I forget which one, that ate Willie's piglets. He had piglets, and he ate the beast ate them.
Oh my god.
So this is a Wild Bill episode, and this is like one of the more definitive character development episodes that I've seen in the show. This episode's actually a departure from all of the previous episodes. Firstly, the segment in the truck. Buck is missing. In his stead is Wild Bill. In the segment, they establish that Bill is an avid bear hunter and that this bear beast kills bears. For some reason, this means that Bill hates the creature despite the fact he also kills bears for fun.
He wants to be the bear beast, literally.
I mean, I guess. As is common with Wild Bill, he completely ruins the improv that goes on in the truck. He snubs Jeff's research segment, and the whole scene gets really awkward for a bit. The gang is trying to play to Wild Bill, but he's too much of a wild card. That's all beside the point. Wild Bill is in the truck, which means he's partially responsible for interviewing the witnesses. There's too many banger quotes from Wild Bill in this interview to cover, but what I will cover is this one, where the witness says that the bear beast has killed 19 bears, and Wild Bill says, "That's a pile of bear."
That's a pile of bear. Yeah.
That's a pile of bear.
He's a bit of a deducer.
Yeah, you fucking deduced that one. There's a lot of other good ones, but just for the sake of brevity, because I would just be quoting the whole interview, I won't talk about all of them. The next segment is the night investigation, and just like the intro for this one, Wild Bill is there instead of Buck. Before the fellas get started on the investigation, Trapper makes sure to reiterate that this is an investigation, not a hunt. They're looking for a place to set their trap, not to kill the bear beast. During the course of this investigation, they spot the beast, and Wild Bill gets so angry at the sight of the beast, he runs off into the woods to kill him. Since they're fighting an incredibly dangerous beast, and one of their team members just ran off into the night alone, Trapper isn't too happy. He sends Huckleberry after Wild Bill, and after Huck catches up to Bill and brings him back to the group, Trapper scolds him for running off. I can't overstate how mad Trapper is about this. He questions Bill's loyalty to the team and then tells Bill that he might not have a spot on the team after this.
Jesus.
Like he's
fucking mutiny.
He's fucking mad at him, dude.
Yeah, goddamn, bro. Take it easy on the guy.
He just got a little over. Who among us doesn't get mad
Dude,
at the sight of a bear beast?
Yeah, went into rage mode. Like, I would be mad.
Yeah, he went apeshit.
I would chase that motherfucker down.
So it's like it's a classic, like, you're a loose cannon, Bill, type story.
Which is probably true, but, okay.
Probably true because he's a fucking maniac. Like, clearly outside of the show, he's a maniac.
A little bit.
Fast forward to the next morning, Wild Bill and Trapper meet up. Trapper determines that Bill is going to be put on probation for the night hunt,
Ooh.
meaning that if he can't control himself during the night hunt, he's off the team. Given that bit of information, I'm going to skip about 15 minutes or so of the episode directly to the night hunt. This night hunt is fucking wild. This one's
Bill.
way wild, like way wilder than the last one. So, as is the plan with every other night, Trapper briefs the team. The gang splits into 2 teams to drive the bear beast toward the trap from opposite directions. The first major find is from Trapper's team, consisting of Trapper, Wild Bill, and Huckleberry. They find the aftermath of a fight between the bear beast and some bear. Based on the remains, Wild Bill determines that the bear was that the bear killed was a cub. Little cub. This low-life bastard is killing cubs now. He's upset about this.
He's gonna go rage mode a bit.
Meanwhile, Team 2, Buck, Willie, and Jeff, manages to catch the bear beast on Jeff's thermal camera. The team tries to move toward the beast when suddenly Willie falls into a hole. Like a 6 or 8 foot deep hole in the ground.
Jesus Christ.
Like, he actually takes that fall like crazy. And Jeff tries to rescue Willie and also falls in the hole. Jeff, for context, Willie isn't a young guy. Like, he's probably in his mid-40s. But, like, Jeff is, like, maybe conservatively in his early 60s.
Jesus.
And he's, like, probably 350 pounds. Like, he took that fall. Like, I know he was hurting.
Oh, yeah.
So.
God damn. Committed to the bit, I guess.
So, Buck radios Trapper and tells him what happened. Trapper's team rushes toward Buck's team to rescue Jeff and Willie. It's very important to mention, this is only the second most dangerous stunt that happens in this episode. There's another one towards the end that's way more dangerous.
Okay, all right.
The boys rescue Willie and Jeff from the hole, and they report back that it's definitely the bear beast's nests, because it had a startling amount of deer parts in it. Like, it looked like they found 15 deer and mutilated them, and then just spread the parts around this hole.
Jesus Christ.
So I think the falling in the hole was initially scripted, but I think it ended up being more dangerous than they thought.
Yeah, more than likely.
The boys load up in side-by-sides and start chasing down the bear beast. They chase the beast towards a river, which it crosses. Trapper is unsure if the vehicles will make it over the river, so he sends Wild Bill and Willie over the river on foot. And this is where our most dangerous stunt happens. I need to establish that this river, it had been raining, so the river is flowing like very quickly.
Like rapids.
It's like rapids, and they're going over this. Willie gets swept up by the water because he slips and he falls, and he gets swept up by the water. He's like spinning around in the water, and I need to emphasize how fucking quickly he could have drowned. Like, how easily he could have drowned.
Fucking get riptide over there.
Like, he's like,
I know.
This is actually so fucking dangerous. If you have the time, it's toward the end of the episode, season 1, episode 13. Please watch this scene. It's like, he legitimately could have drowned.
God damn.
I can't believe they fucking did that. Wild Bill steps up and pulls Willie out of the river, which gives him his little redemption moment. The rest of the crew just drives over the river in the side-by-side, establishing that was an option all along, and Willie almost drowned for literally nothing.
Oh my god.
They chase after the bear beast for a little while, but they can't drive him toward the trap, and it looks like he's going to get away. Trapper is about to call off the hunt when suddenly the gang hears a bear beast roar. They all spot the beast, take aim, and fire wildly into the distance, Revolutionary War style. Like they're in a firing line. Because presumably this is the only angle they could have gotten where Wild Bill wouldn't have shot anybody.
Yeah.
Also, important to note, we don't see the bear beast.
Of course.
They do. We don't. Even though the camera is behind them, and conceivably we would have seen it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
No, you had to be there.
They continue firing, and when the smoke clears, there is no dead bear beast in sight. But there is a trail of blood. Bear beast blood.
Oh, shit.
The gang follows the trail and finds blood with bubbles in it, which usually indicates that you hit a lung of the creature you shot. Wild animals typically have a very tough time surviving a shot directly to the lungs.
Oh, believe it or not.
This leads to the game declaring victory over the bear beast.
Oh, my God.
Meaning this is the first cryptid that they maybe have killed in 13 episodes.
Yeah.
And that, my friends, is a quick intro to Mountain Monsters. It's on HBO Max, and it's on Discovery Plus. It's on Amazon, too.
I think the real story that's being told in that show is you're meant to reflect and realize that the true cryptids were these fucking AIM squadron people.
The Ames boys.
Like, they're the cryptids in this scenario. They're the invasive species.
Dude, it brings it all back.
Yeah.
It's a callback.
Like, they're fucking insane.
These guys have... I can't recommend this fucking show enough. It's so funny.
Their collective IQ must be like 7.
It is so goddamn entertaining. And if you don't want to watch it, you could just listen to the podcast that I recommended.
Yeah.
Big Feats.
Big feats, yeah.
I
might actually do that. I might check that out at some point.
Which it's worth a listen because of what I will say, there's no fucking ads on it. Which podcast ads are particularly bad, I've noticed.
Lately, yeah, they're pretty awful. I've been getting like very weird ads on a lot of podcasts.
They're very like hyper specific because I know they don't. It's not like YouTube. They don't serve you ads like that. They put it in the audio stream.
Yeah.
So I'll get ones for like ads for like a random state's Department of Transportation.
Yeah.
Like I got one for like the New York DOT. Like what? Why is the New York DOT putting ads in podcasts?
Yeah, that's bizarre.
It's either that or some online gambling service.
Yep, I get that all the time. Do you get the Lucky Land Casino? Do you get that? I get that shit all the time, dude.
That shit is.
They could give me $10,000. I would not let them put an ad.
It's always the same fucking ad too.
Yeah.
They shot one ad and said, "Fuck it, we're gonna put that on every ad spot."
Yeah, no. If they showed up right now, if they knocked on the door with a briefcase with 10 grand, and said, "Let us put a 10-second ad here," I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Fuck off.
I would say you have 10 seconds to leave before I strangle you.
Like that ad drives me wild.
It's so crazy. I turned a podcast off the other day because I heard that ad.
Really?
I was listening to a podcast. I'm like, this is pretty good. And the ad came up and I shut it off.
Yeah.
I was so mad.
And here's the thing. I say this as someone who, like, generally, I listen to the sponsored segments of stuff. I listen to the ads for the most part. Like, I try to support the creator for the most part and, like, not skip through shit. I skip every Lucky Land or Lucky Slot Casino ad that comes up.
And
it's annoying.
And that's you. I hate advertisements.
Yeah.
I have so many things installed to prevent me from seeing advertisements. So having them it's so fucking annoying. So ad-free podcast. This podcast ad-free. So I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, you know.
Well, you know, it's not like, you know, we haven't had it's not like we haven't had sponsorship offers. Like
Lots of them.
So many.
Like, yeah. You remember when Sony was like, "Yo, you want $10 million? Just say the name Sony." And we're like, "No, we'll say it, but you're not paying us, so we're not advertising."
Yeah, like we're not advertisers. Remember when Bill Gates himself?
Oh yeah, he knocked on the door.
He showed up and said like, "Hey, would you do a 10-second spot for Xbox, please?" And I said, "No, we can't do it. Can't do it." He said, "I'll give you $1 billion." I said, "We can't do it.
Yeah.
We got to be ad free."
Yeah.
So.
Dude, Bill Gates, pay us.
Yep. For no other reason other than we're just asking you to.
Please.
Just pay us now.
Please.
Oh, actually, deposit just hit. Oh, from Mr. B. Gates.
B. Gates. Is that all you got?
That's all I got for this segment. I want to do more of these. Maybe I'll kind of continue and pick out select episodes from
as you go through the show, yeah.
Because I don't want to do all of them because I don't want to step on the toes of a podcast that already exists, number one.
True.
And number two, I don't think it's worth it to cover every single episode.
Right.
For my purposes, at least.
True.
Because this isn't the same idea. It's not like a watch-along podcast.
Yeah.
So I might do some updates on this. I might do some more things in this format. Because this was quick to write up. This didn't take too long. This was only a couple hours I spent on this. So
yeah.
We'll probably have more of that in the future.
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan?
As always, you can find us. Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, Pocket Cast, and YouTube as a little video platform where you can see us.
Spotify too.
Spotify's got that as well. You can see us
the new camera.
Our new camera. Hopefully it looks decent. We don't know yet. It looks good from here, but we'll see when it's...
It looks good on the 2-inch screen that we have.
Yeah. 2 inches is a lot, okay?
It's enough,
Enough for me. You know what I'm saying? And
some might even say too big.
And as always, you can contact us via email, synapsemisfire@pm.me. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, and death threats. And then most importantly, Little Kitty, Bit City, News, and Hype. And Instagram and TikTok. And hopefully next time we record, I won't be holding the mic like it's a massive cock. So.
Yeah, I mean, totally your fault, bro.
Entirely my fault.
You could have just brought the dingus.
I forgot my dingus, and now I got to hold the dingus. So it happens.
It happens.
So anyway.
Well, we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.